Hello my friends, Luke Krubeck, owner of the Barbell Club. Today on this video, we are going to get into 7 machines only that I offer here at the Barbell Club. So much more as you can see, but we don't have time for all of that. We're going to get into 7 machines that are maybe machines that are a little bit obscure, machines you've not seen, a lot of machines that my members haven't seen before, and we're going to unpack them a little bit, why I have them, why I like them, and also give you a couple pointers for execution that might help you, even if you're not a member of the Barbell Club, on your own execution on some squats and maybe some other patterns. So I hope you guys like this. Let's get into it. All right guys, one of the pieces that I wanted to highlight with you is our pendulum squat. I love this piece. It will wake your quads up in ways that very few things will. The thing that I like about the pendulum squat is that it allows an opportunity to get into the bottom position of your squat with greater ease. It's very similar to the hack squats, which we've got next to us here as well, which we've got 2 versions of those. Big believer in hack squats for leg development, and pendulum squat is going to be on a similar theme. And that is, it's going to be a quad dominant squat. And the reason for that is because when I'm in on this machine, because of the nature of it, my hips are not able to move. So my hips aren't translating into flexion or extension. So therefore it's a very knee dominant squat, which is very important for this emphasis that I try to give to squatting, which is I want to sit down in my squat, but I want to sit back on my deadlift. So the hack squat and the pendulum squat are a nice way to try to build this relationship of sitting down when you squat instead of back, therefore getting more load to where you want it in the quads. So on this system, we'll get her unracked. We've got a nice big platform, but I always try to keep on my pendulum squat or my hack squats, feet as low as possible. And again, that's going to vary person to person, but I want my knee to travel over my toes. Despite popular belief for a while that it's bad for your knees to go over or past your toes, I disagree with that strongly. In the last decade in treating physical therapy patients, restoring knee function means getting that knee to travel appropriately over the toe. So as we lower down into this, we'll keep contact with butt and kind of the whole spine against the pad, and then we're letting knees break forward and gently out to the side so that I can drop into that full range of motion and then come in back to the top. So again, you can see that it's about knee motion, and the hip can't really translate anywhere, so therefore quad dominant on this squat. But because of the nature of this pendulum and the angle that it drops in, what I find is that most people have an easier time getting to this bottom position, and it's a little bit more comfortable on the knees than some of the other opportunities that are out there because of just the nature of that pattern that it's on. So this is a nice machine. Arsenal strength. The platform can be adjusted for angles as well, depending again, maybe on ankle mobility, some of that other stuff. This is a heavy machine. On its own, empty, it's about 110 pounds. So that's also why I like it. It doesn't take a lot of weight. I rarely work above 3 or 4 plates on this guy. The weight load's on the backside, but up here up top, you've also got an opportunity for a counterweight if you needed to offload in that bottom position a little bit. So nice versatile machine, and not many of these floating around here locally. So grateful that we've got a pendulum squat for you guys here at the Barbell Club. Another one of the pieces here at the Barbell Club that is not a very familiar one to a lot of people is this different style Smith machine that we have. So the reason I like this is because this Smith machine, unlike a traditional one, works off of a pivot system. What that will do is that's going to create and mimic a more normal barbell path for you, depending on what you're doing. So it's versatile. You can bench press in it, you can squat in it. Depending on the movement will depend on which way I would choose to face in the Smith machine. Now, the 2 movements that I end up using it for the most is a standing Viking press, where I'm facing it, and we'll have some footage on this, but facing it, pressing overhead. The other one that I really like is facing the same way is a bent over barbell row. And again, the arc is nice for the press because it puts that on that Viking press, it puts the press out in front of you a little bit, which is a lot For a lot of people, it's more comfortable if they don't have full range of motion, but it just keeps kind of a more constant load on that anterior delt as opposed to an overhead position where I'm coming kind of way far back behind me. So that forward angle helps keep load where you want it and gives an opportunity for a standing press. And then again, I like it for a row because again, because of the nature of this arc, it pulls it away from me and helps open up that lat and then brings it in tight as I finish on that row. So it's got some versatility there because of the arc pattern. And then, you know, if you think about the pattern of a bench press, touching on my chest and then pressing back up, the bar travels back up over my eyes a little bit. So there's a little bit of an arc pattern to a normal bench press, and you'll be able to facilitate that here as well. So nice versatile piece and a different way to utilize a fixed plane motion with the barbell. Again, so we're removing the stability, but have it mimic a more normal barbell path depending on what you're doing. All right, next piece on the list is our pitch shark or the belt squat. Some of you may have used the belt squat at the gym that you're at, or of course you remember here, then you're familiar with the belt squat, but it's one that's worth talking about. It's a nice machine and offers some versatility to not just squatting. I'll show one of the other movements that I like with it, some hip hinge patterns, some RDLs, things like that. But I really like it for the squat. From a clinical aspect of treating physical therapy patients, I love this piece for my low back pain patients because it's a way for us to load the legs as heavy as we want with a traditional squat pattern without having to load the spine. And in fact, because of the nature of the belt and the weight below you, you actually get some distraction on that spine instead of compression. So it gives us some versatility to, again, load the legs as maybe as heavy as we would like, but without other compromise to things upstream that we may be fighting or working through. So on the belt squat, pretty straightforward. We'll step into the belt. It's going to go above the hips, and you'll find kind of the sweet spot of where it needs to sit. On this guy, we've got different opportunities of where we can hook in. The way that I try to explain it to people is it will change how much load you get, but I worry less about that and more about the fact that it's going to change your angle of pull a little bit. For the most part, a lot of people will hook in on the second one in because that's kind of the most neutral line of pull. So we'll just do that here for the sake of demonstration. When you stand up, it unracks itself, and then just getting feet set to where I would want them for my traditional squat. You've got some handles here that are adjustable as well. I remind everybody that these handles are for balance, not for life support. So I don't want to be using these to be doing too much of the work, right? What I see often is that people will come into this belt squat and they do this, and they're way, way back here, where if I let go right now, I would go ass over tea kettle. I don't want that. And right now I've got a very vertical shin, and so I'm robbing myself of feeling the quads the way that I want. So much like we talked on the pendulum squat or a hack squat, I want the knees to travel over my toes, and I want to think about sitting down in my squat, not back. So again, these are here for balance. Things are positioned where I want, sitting straight down, letting the knees travel forward over those toes, nice full range of motion, coming back to the top. So a really nice way to facilitate a good squat pattern, but without having to mess with a barbell on my back or some of the other variations when we're doing like a free bar squat. So great for people that dealing with some low back stuff. Also great for people that might be dealing with a shoulder issue where they can't get in an appropriate position to maybe barbell squat. So I like it as kind of a starter or a finisher to my workouts. But it's a nice piece to have to, again, train the legs heavy, but change the distribution of that load so we can work around some other things. Pull the handle to lower it down and rack it. Unhook, and you're good to rest, man. So a nice versatile machine. But one of the other pieces, or excuse me, one of the other movements that I like to do with it, we'll just take the chain off this belt. Oh, I gotta grab a carabiner. Right here. So you've got an opportunity to also hit a deadlift pattern with these guys. So you can grab a straight bar, any other variation you might want to use. And then same thing, I'll lift to unrack it. I can get positioned. Now I can work through an RDL. or a deadlift pattern to load those glutes and hamstrings. I could even work on a row, a bent over row variation. So really nice versatile machine when it comes to different opportunities. And so, you know, if you were short on space and you were wanting a machine that could do maybe 2, 3, 4 things, depending on the brand of the belt squat, might give you some other opportunities. But got the Pit Shark here in house, so great for your squatting, some deadlift variations, maybe even some row patterns. So check it out. One of my favorite pieces in the gym. I dug this out of an equipment graveyard, if you will. And when I saw it, it was in this massive place that had a bunch of old retired equipment. And this was in the corner. It took me like 40 minutes to dig the thing out. And the guy that was there, he goes, "You want this?" Sorry, I got one fly in here. He goes, "You want this piece?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "I don't even know what it is." I was like, "I do." So I'm a big fan of chest supported rows or chest supported movements in general, because it helps give us a fixed point so that we can focus on the retraction, right, or opening up that shoulder or that scapula as we do a row pattern. And so it's a really nice piece because it's set up and it's not awkward. And I'll kind of make my point here. So if I was gonna do a chest supported row, but I didn't have this, right? I'm grabbing my dumbbells and I'm doing this. I'm coming over to an incline bench and I'm doing the awkward waddle to get over. And then I'm gonna lower myself down into position. And then I'm gonna get positioned again with feet. And then I'm gonna start rowing, right? And then I've got to set them down on the ground. It's just not ideal. Does it work? Yes. But this is so much easier because it's set up. It's the small things. It's the details. So here, I've got an opportunity to set these dumbbells so I don't have to get into position while I'm holding them. I've got an adjustment here, so if you're vertically challenged, we can go all the way to the floor. Gives me a chance to get set up here, get positioned right where I want. Knees are soft so I can be loaded and positioned. Maybe chest just above the top. Then if I'm using straps, if I'm going with a heavier load, it's just easier to get set up. And I can grab these guys, get positioned, and go through that pattern and movement that I love so much. So chest supported opportunity. The other thing here, I can do rows, I could do a reverse fly, I could grab a preloaded easy bar or dumbbells and do a spider curl here. A nice versatile machine. So if you ever see one of these and you're like, I don't really know what that is, that's what that's for. A beautiful opportunity to make life more efficient for you on your chest supported movements, especially using a dumbbell. A lot of the best pieces that are out there, they don't make them anymore. So if you find them, you got to find them on the used market, which is fine because they've got a lot of life left in them, especially if you take care of them. This calf machine is one of them. I carry in, made some great equipment, and I really like this calf piece. Pretty self-explanatory. However, I wanted to talk about this one because this is probably one of the #1 machines I see people get on and maybe use it for other reasons. Now, it's not about right or wrong because you could use this as a leg press if you wanted, because that's what a lot of people will do is they'll get up on this, right? Just to demonstrate here. They'll push up and they'll put feet way up here, and then they'll treat it like a leg press. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's going to be a pretty short range leg press, but what it's designed for is calves. So it mimics kind of what we would reference as a donkey calf raise machine, which is where I'm kind of flexed at the hips, but knees are extended. Something that's worth mentioning when we train our calves, when your knee is straight or in extension when you're training the calf, it's going to work more of the gastroc, which is the muscle on the calf that when you flex, the one that balls up at the top. When you're doing a calf raise like we've got with the seated calf raise where your knees are bent, that's going to work more of the soleus muscle, which is deep to the gastrocnemius and sits kind of underneath it. Both are still involved on each of the other ones respectively, but we're biasing one a little bit more than the other. So if you're like, well, what's the difference between if my knees are bent or my knees are straight? That's the difference. But on this guy, you've got 2 levels here. So again, if you're vertically challenged, you'll be on the upper one, but you've got an opportunity to get knees extended. And I don't ever really fully lock my knee, but I do like them straight in this position. And then you've got an opportunity to drop in for the heel to get a nice big stretch. And then we're gonna come to the top and get a good squeeze on that calf. So really nice way to train the calf. Again, you don't have to stabilize because it's not a free barbell. It's on a fixed plane, and you can just focus on activating what you want and going through this pattern. One of the things that's worth talking about with your calf training also is when you come to the top on a calf raise, if you kind of look at my ankles here, I want to avoid rolling to the outside. I want you to pretend like you're squeezing a ball between your ankles and raising up over that big toe. That's going to give you a more equal load through the two heads of that calf, and you're going to feel more of what you want and a little bit less asymmetry. So that's something to consider when you're going through your calf raises. But nice piece we've got here in the gym. Again, takes out the complexity of the setup and everything else. You can get in and you can just train the calves without overthinking it. So nice little Icarian piece here. All right, guys, we talked about our chest supported piece for dumbbell rows. We've also got a classic T-bar row. These are a dying breed. We're seeing these less and less in gyms anymore, and this is a classic piece. This is an old Icarian piece again. Made some great equipment. So plate loaded here. We've got the platform for the feet. Again, not that complicated, but it's worth talking about. Chest supported position here. Some people will go with feet on the platform. If you're a little bit taller, I tend to put my feet on the floor. Helps me just anchor a little bit more, but again, you can play with that and see what you like. You've got the two handle options. The thing to consider here, the upper handle is going to allow me to flare that elbow more as I pull, which is then in turn going to target a little bit more of that upper middle back. The other lower handle, because of the nature of it, is turning me. Elbows are going to be closer to my side, therefore I'm going to get more lat. Now, even though I'm biasing lat more, is rhomboid and middle trap still working? Yes, of course. And the same thing here. Are my lats still engaged? Yeah. But the difference is we're gonna bias one a little bit more than the other. So the general rule of thumb on your rowing patterns, the more the elbow is flared, the more upper middle back you will get. The more, or the closer the elbows are to your side, the more lat you're gonna get. So you can consider that on any of your rowing patterns, whether it's a cable row, dumbbell row, barbell row, chest supported T-bar row. Consider the angle of your elbow on which of the tissues you would like to activate more. Chest supported row, try them. And a lot of the questions I get from clients when I put them on this, they're like, they get done with the set, right? And they're like, how do you breathe during that? I go, you don't, you breathe after. Some of the gyms I love the most in all my years of training and working at and working out at different gyms, I always love the gyms that were set up the best for leg day or for back day. And so I definitely went into my inspiration for when I built the Barbell Club is I want to have a lot of pieces for the posterior chain and a lot of pieces for training the legs. So this is another piece, another arsenal strength piece that's very versatile. So you could damn near train most of your back on this piece because of the variations you have in the handles, the opportunity for it to be isolateral or bilateral, and all of those things. One of the movements that I probably do with this one the most is I will mimic a single arm dumbbell row with this. And what I'll do is I'll put same leg forward on the side that I'm rowing on, place my hand up here like so, grab a hold of this handle, and then complete that row pattern. It helps me open up and stretch on that lat when I lean forward, and then it helps me shorten it as I move and rotate with it just a little bit. I often will encourage people to let their body move a little bit, because if I go through a motion like this and I'm just a robot and I don't let my body twist or move at all, it's very easy to want to overutilize my bicep for this pull instead of opening up that shoulder and that scapula to get what I want out of that lat. So I really like it for a single arm row variation, but you can also have a seat and do a chest supported variation. We've got a neutral handle. You've got an opportunity to supinate high or low. We could pronate down here low and pull at a little bit more of an upward angle depending on what we're doing. So we've got a lot of opportunity there. It's very specific in that you can adjust the pitch, you can adjust the seat height, you can also adjust how much stretch or how shortened your starting point is with the handle because of these stops here. So again, a very versatile machine. I think everyone can get comfortable on it. but a very nice piece to have that, again, gives us some versatility and a piece that you don't see a lot of other places. So wanted to highlight that multi-row from Arsenal Strength as well. All right, my friends, short little video just highlighting just a few pieces of what we've got in this gym. We have so much equipment in this facility. In fact, that's probably one of the #1 things that people say when they come in here. Like, they're like, you got a lot of equipment here. I'm like, yes, I do. But everything has a purpose and has a meaning. One of the things that I highlight to our new members when I'm showing them around is like, hey, nothing's worse than being in a gym where it gets bottlenecked and you're just waiting on equipment. So I tried to set up in a way where we had plenty of duplicates and opportunities to do the same movement. Let's give you an example. Let's say you came in on Monday, which we all know that Monday in the gym world is International Chest Day. So let's say you came in on Monday afternoon and you also wanted to do bench press. Well, easy. We've got 2 flat benches. If those are both tied up, you can flat bench in both of my power cages. You can flat bench in both Smith machines. I have 3 machines that mimic a flat press. I've got 6 utility benches you can do flat dumbbell press on. You see the point? Same with legs. If you came in and you wanted to squat and everyone else also wanted to squat, you can squat in both Smith machines, both power cages, a squat rack, a belt squat, a power squat machine, 2 hack squat machines, a pendulum squat. I wanted to set it up where it kept incredible flow and that you had some other opportunities and some different variations for the same movement. Now, even for me, as committed as I am to this process, there's machines in this facility that I use once a month, but it's nice to have them when I do want to use them. I named it the Barbell Club for a reason. I think the best bang for our buck and the meat and potatoes is our barbell compound movements. That being said, it's wonderful to have all the equipment that can help us tune in on the muscles we want to activate the most. So it's useful and it's fun to have. And it's just nice to walk into a place that feels like a playground. And I love that for people when they come here and they're so excited to have all this equipment and the different variations, the different brands, and some pieces that they haven't had an opportunity to use at other places, or maybe pieces they've never even seen. So that's what I wanted to highlight just a little bit for you guys. We've also got a killer, some drone footage and a kind of a tour of the gym itself on our website, thebarbellclub.net. You can find that tour on there and watch that video, which will highlight so much more of what we have better than this video even did. But I hope this gave you some things to consider on your own training, even if you're not a member here at the Barbell Club, that if you have access to some similar equipment, some things to take home and think about on your own execution so that you can be more successful in, well, the ultimate goal, which is build the better you.